I want to get into this young man that was shot and killed in Sacramento, in his grandparents
Say his name.
grandparents' home. His name was Stephon. Oh, where is it at? Clark. And it's just we see this too often, and it's just so crazy because so the issue that happened was they got a call or complaint that they heard someone is breaking into cars. 6'1" black man, thin pants, hoodie. He fit the description. So it was very dark outside. Police officers, they had their body cams on, things of that nature. There's also a police helicopter at the top as well too, and they were yelling at him, "Show me your hand, show me your hand." So it seems like a very escalated situation, and I guess they said the gentleman or Stephon Clark pointed something at him, thought it was a gun, shot him 20 times or 40 times, if I'm not mistaken.
It was 20.
It was 20 times. And then they proceeded to try and do the procedures to try to bring him back to life, but he was pronounced dead. So it's just, and then the family is like, they're like, oh my God, they shot him. The grandmother seeing it, and they got a picture of the grandmother just crying, and it's just ridiculous. And we've seen this far too often, but right now there hasn't been any penalties against the cops that shot him 20 times. I thought you should shoot to neutralize, not shoot to kill, but
right.
I guess under their circumstances, they feel like, hey, my life is in danger, I can kill, but
it's one of those things
crazy.
where you see, I forget where it was or specifically what happened, but you just as we keep freaking saying, it's those things where you see this happening, but you see like white people who get into it with the cops. And I forget what I was looking at, but the dude, it was like it wasn't even a chase. He was getting in the car, getting out of the car and running shit over, like flipping. It was like a mess. Or like thinking about the school shootings and the church shootings with Dylan Roof and things like that. They go into a church and get shot up and get off for fucking Burger King. Yeah. And I know we keep saying it over and over, and it's just kind of like, fam, I had a cell phone and I seen people sharing pictures of a fucking cell phone and a gun. Like, right. And it's just like, it's freaking sad. And I just wanted to share this. I seen a couple people sharing. This woman, she lives in Woodland Hills, California, which is like a suburb of LA. And she mentioned that she was living there for 20 years, and her neighborhood now, she's been living in for 2 years. She has a 14-year-old son. And she just kind of goes on to say that, it's a neighborhood where she's probably one of the only black people, if there are any others in the neighborhood. And she said that, she kind of has like a high fence and bushes and things like that. So, once she's in her area, she doesn't really communicate, or they don't come talk to her type thing. And she's like, she has an app, and everybody should get it. It's called Next Door. She said it's great. She said it keeps you up to date on everything in your neighborhood, not just your street, but the entire neighborhood. She said, sometimes in the app, I see people post statements like, I just saw a suspicious man walking down the street, and it says description, African-American, jeans, headphones. And she said, I would often reply, what is it about him that makes him suspicious? And she said the answer is always the same. He just looked like he didn't belong in the neighborhood.
Right.
And she mentioned that, and this was interesting to me. Again, she has a 14-year-old son, and that she took him to every home around her surrounding neighbors. She knocked on their door, and she said she took her son, 14 years old. This is my son, Eli. You probably see him walking our dog, taking out the trash to the bins, to the curb. I want to introduce myself and him. So so you know that he lives, in capital letters, he lives here. He is 14. He's a freshman. And he's in high school. So please know that he is your neighbor, not some suspicious kid with a hoodie and headphones on. He is a 14-year-old kid. He is my son, and he does belong in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And she kind of goes on to talk about white privilege and things like you probably would never have to do anything like that. Not that she had to, and she said she don't care what nobody thinks, but it's one of those things where, shit, like, this shit happened, and this my son, and he live here, and he ain't suspicious. And it's just fucked up, because that whole... he just looks suspicious thing. He's just kind of like, it blows my mind. So
I want to share something really quick with Kelby. Kelby mentioned this on his Facebook status.
Oh yeah, seen that.
Yeah, he said, so funny story. As I make my way back to Texas, I happen to fit, in quotation marks, the description of a local California gun runner. 6 police officers in total, 2 K9 units, 2 officers with hands on weapons, made shirtless to look for gang-related tattoos, a handshake for my cooperation, and a lot of people asking questions. So I personally never been in that situation where I've been antagonized like that by the cops for fitting the description or anything like that. But I do everything in my possible that I possibly can to avoid the police. Like if I do get pulled over, which I've only gotten really pulled over maybe 3 times in my life, my license and registration's already out, everything's already there, my hands on the wheel, boom, how's it going? Oh, did you forgot to do X, Y, and Z? Oh, I apologize, I turn my lights on. Sorry about that. Little stuff like that. Like I'll do everything I can. I never do everything that I can.
That's what you do in a moment, too.
Right? To
So you roll my fucking hand up in the window. Get the fuck out the car.
Can to avoid, but yeah, man, it's just scary. It's just scary.
Yeah, and it's like even that situation. You coming back from out of town or some shit, and they like, and you kind of like, I'm just trying to go home and get some sleep, like whatever, whatever you're trying to do. But even just that, with the woman saying that, going to knock on doors, and yeah, my son, he's 14, he's in high school, he lives here, and she mentioned, his bill, you 14, you growing up, you starting to get tall, you starting to look like a grown man. Mm-hmm. So, and especially if it's one of them neighborhoods, nobody fuck with you, and you kind of mind your business for, just because that's life, and it's a whole like privilege type thing. It's just fucked up. So, Lassie, you got anything?
Yeah, I was just sitting here trying to gather my thoughts, and honestly, it's so frustrating that we have to continue to keep going through this. What makes me mad is I seen that the police thought that he had a crowbar.
Mm-hmm. That was a quotation mark.
And that makes no sense to me. And even when police say, they saw a gun. So I was watching Law and Order last week, and the cop thought she saw a gun. She did not see a gun. She saw something shiny. So she chases this boy, this little black boy, and she shoots her gun, and it ricochets and shoots her. So the other cop behind her thinks that the little kid is shooting at her. So he starts shooting at the kid as well. And it's like, she wasn't even sure if she saw a gun. And once she found out that her bullet ricocheted and shot herself, she totally went against the other officer. Like, I didn't tell him that there was a gun for sure. Da, 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 da. So it just frustrates me because, like, and even Mwanje brought up, like, why are we shooting to kill? Let's just shoot to,
neutralize,
like stop them for a little bit. Because if you shoot them in the leg or arm or whatever the case may be, obviously, maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. I've never been shot, but it's gonna stop them.
Yeah,
possibly. I mean, and it's like that way you can really see what's going on. You can assess the situation better. But to just shoot that boy 20 times, like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I think I woke up or I was somewhere and I was hearing about it, and I was looking at some comments under this post, and because it was shared a lot, and somebody was kind of like, well, what did he do? And somebody was like, did he have a record? And like all these comments, like, why the fuck does that matter?
That so
like,
much.
I
hate that so much.
Yeah, it was even a lot of like a different couple like white people obviously commenting kind of like, y'all, this is starting to get out of hand. And I think I screenshotted one because I was just like, wow, this lady was like, this is how white people have forced black people to live in America. This is what we have done. We must take responsibility now as a nation. White privilege did this. We did this. Take a good look at yourself for change. The unexamined life is not worth living. Shout out to Socrates. Yeah, and it's kind of going back to that 14-year-old boy, and she's kind of, saying like, this is what we have to do now. Like,
right.
You gotta,
and honestly, I never even thought of doing something like that because me personally, I don't really. Growing up, my mom really didn't talk to our neighbors. We kind of just did our own thing. Yeah. We weren't really allowed to go outside. And the fact that, this black mom is like, damn, well, let me introduce my son to everybody. And it sucks because, one, what guy don't like to wear their hoodies and their hoods?
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't say don't wear your hood, son, because these people might think something about you. But he want his, hoodies are comfortable. He want his hood on, whatever the case may be.
Cold,
right. He taking the trash out. Like, It's so frustrating. It makes me so angry. And it makes me, I don't want to say that I'm scared to have kids, but I am because it's too much. Like, and I want to say it's obviously black women and men, but black men are targeted so much more, and it's not even funny. Like, it's so annoying, and I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, it's just someone said something about with all this stuff going on that they kind of feel like black people are getting desensitized to these events, and it's like it's a lot because it's like it's really like, damn, again, like you get that feeling, and it's like, how many families have to lose someone? How many tears do people have to cry? How many rallies? How many protests? How many whatever the case may be? Like, how much of that do we need for this shit to stop?
I mean, the scary thing about it is it's like the boy who cried wolf. It's like, okay, there's so many innocent people getting killed. It's like, okay, now it's time to kill somebody that needs to be killed. It's like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know now. You know what I mean? So it's just like downstairs. I was telling Reese before we started. There was two cops that had some older guys that were panhandling out there, and it looked like he gave one ticket, but gun hand was on the waist. This, that, and that. Two old men. Dude didn't even have teeth in his mouth because he was doing like this. You know they be doing, but
that's not funny.
but and I was on the phone with one of my guys, and I was like, "Oh, snap! Police here! Let me get my hand up." Had my hand in my pocket. It was cold, so I was like, "Let me get my hand in my pocket. Let me put my hand on my book bag. Got my phone on the house. I'm gonna get off the phone with you until I get inside." And it wasn't. And it was just. It's sad because it was like second nature. And he was like, "Oh, for real?" He was like, "All right." I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll hit you back later." And I'm like looking, making sure that they didn't do anything wild or crazy. But it's just like, they could be really good cops, and I just don't know. You know what I mean? So
it's very
I don't want to harp on it, but it's just be safe out here. Just be smart too as well. Like, yeah, you do have rights, but you don't have rights when you're dead. So just be careful. Honestly, just do what you need to do. If you make sure you got the proper paperwork out, and just make sure you just try to be safe as much as possible. So
yeah, it's just like you said, it's just messed up that you have to take that extra 26 million steps versus somebody who walk into a school and shoot
hands
everybody.
out off the phone, making sure that you
playing limbo and shit. So.
Don't look like nobody else.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember I got pulled over one time. I didn't have insurance, and